All right, welcome back. We are so happy you joined us again. Let's continue our conversation in Genesis.
Yes.
Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. Sometime later, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you, and your reward will be great." And in our notes, when you fear what lies ahead, remember that God will stay with you through difficult times and that he has promised you great blessings. Mm-hmm. That is a wonderful, amazing thing to remember because we all go through difficult times.
Yeah, we do. And his promise.
Yes.
Promise. He never has broke a promise.
Yeah.
He's going to keep his promise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you will get through those difficult times.
If you can't do anything but just sit there and say his name in your head, sit there, he knows your heart.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything.
Yeah. Yep. You will get through it.
Yep.
You will. Now, the thing, Abram, he's still curious as to how all of this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he and his wife have no children.
Right.
She hasn't been able to have any children.
No.
So how are all of these great blessings going to happen?
Yes.
And as it stood, one of his household servants was in line to inherit his wealth. Because according to custom, if a man and a wife, if they were to die, if the man was to die without a son, then the eldest servant would become the heir.
Right. Then the Lord took Abram outside and said to him, "Look in the sky and see all the stars. That's how many descendants you will have." But he just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Then the Lord told him, "Look, I'm the Lord who brought you out of Ur and the Chaldeans to give you this land as your possession. But Abram said, 'O sovereign Lord, how can I be sure that I will possess it?' And then he said, 'Bring me, sacrifice these, kill them.' And then Abram fell into a deep sleep. And the Lord said to Abram, 'You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land. They will be oppressed as slaves for 400 years. And then 4 generations will go by. And then Ishmael is born because Sarai can't have any children. So Ishmael is born to, I forget her name, is it Hagar?
Yeah.
So she's born. He is born. On 15:6, I had although Abram had been demonstrated his faith through his actions, it was belief in the Lord, not his actions, that made Abram right with God. We too can have relationships with God by trusting him. Our outward actions, church attendance, or prayer, good deeds will not by themselves make us right. A good relationship is based on faith, the heartfelt inner confidence that God is who he says he is and does what he says he will do. Right actions will follow naturally as byproducts.
I love that.
I did too. Oh, you wrote it too.
I did. I even highlighted that.
Yes.
It was wonderful that it is truly our faith.
Mm-hmm.
Not kind of all of the extraneous things that are going on. It is your faith.
It's not a check off at church. It's not, oh, I prayed this many times. I've done this many Bible studies. No. Mm-hmm. It's your faith.
Yeah. And so, Abram, like we've been saying, he's concerned. And so God told him to bring those specific animals. I forget what they were and to what bisect. Cut them in half. And then Genesis chapter 15, verses 12 through 16, as the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a terrifying darkness came down over him. Then the Lord said to Abram, "You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land. Like you said, they will be oppressed as slaves for 400 years, but I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and in the end they will come away with great wealth. As for you, you will die in peace and be buried at a ripe old age. After 4 generations, your descendants will return here to this land, for the sins of the Amorites do not yet warrant their destruction. And while Abram was asleep, he saw a smoking fire pot and torch move between the halves of the carcasses of the animals.
Yeah.
And, it said in here, why did God send this strange vision to Abram? God's covenant with Abram was serious business. It represented an incredible promise from God and a huge responsibility for Abram. To confirm his promise, God gave Abram a sign, the smoking fire pot and the flaming torch. And it was neat because they said the fire and the smoke suggested 3 things.
Yes.
1, God's holiness. 2, his zeal for righteousness. And 3, his judgment on all the nations. I'm glad they kind of broke that down.
I do
because,
too.
Just visually, it's like, ooh, that's kind of neat. But what does it mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. God took the initiative, gave the confirmation, and followed through on his promises. God's passing through the pieces was a visible assurance to Abram that the covenant God made was real. And we just read about this on Monday as well. This is the 3rd covenant God had made.
Yeah.
If we think back, Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, Satan and mankind, they were going to be enemies.
Yes.
And then the sign was going to be pain and childbirth.
Yep.
Genesis chapter 9, verses 8 through 17, we've read that. God would never again destroy the earth with a flood when we were talking about Noah. And the sign was a rainbow. And then what we were just talking about here, Abram's descendants would become a great nation if they obeyed God. God would be their God forever. The sign was the smoking fire pot and the flaming torch.
Yeah.
So we've had 3 covenants so
3.
far.
Yep.
And that's all I have for chapter 15.
Yes.
What else do you have?
I think that's it, but I want to be sure because I want to, I just...
There's so much going on in these chapters.
Okay.
There really is. And we want everyone to have a good understanding because you have to have that good base of knowledge going further into the Bible.
Right. It builds on.
Yes.
Because Ishmael, I want to make sure they understand about Ishmael and Isaac. So but that's coming up next.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Chapter 16. All right, you guys, join us next time as we continue our discussion in Genesis. We're very excited.
Yes, we are.
All right, we will see you next time.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.